Hi, how are you? Welcome to my sharing class. Today we are learning about potentiometric titrator. These are the contents we want to share, including 4 parts. The most common titration in our experiments is acid-base neutralization titration. So, what is titration? Titration is an analytical technique used to quantify the amount of dissolved analyte in a sample. A titrant of known concentration is added to the sample and the amount of analyte is determined based on a complete chemical reaction between the titrant and the analyte. The left picture is a simple titration device. On the potentiometric titrator, the burette is replaced with a high-precision burette. The manual shaking action is replaced by a magnetic stirrer. And the color-changing indicator, such as phenolphthalein, methyl red, is replaced by an electrode monitoring the potential change. I have listed the 3 titrator models. Our models can cover high, medium, low-end products to meet your needs. Let's take a look at Titrator. It has a variety of titration modes, such as dynamic titration, endpoint-setted titration, equivalent titration, constant titration, manual titration. And it can edit complex titration processes. It also supports the expansion of a second set of titration lines, greatly improving your work efficiency. I have also listed the screen and serial port configurations of the 3 models. You can also use the table to view the customer groups that different models are suitable for. We just mentioned the titration mode. Now let's take a detailed look at various modes. Firstly, dynamic titration. This is a method that automatically selects the endpoint according to the size of the jump, which is suitable for the measurement of most unknown samples. After the titration is completed and the endpoint is found, the user can use the endpoint-setted titration method based on the titration endpoint. This mode is applicable to most titrations, such as measuring food acid value, peroxide value. Next is endpoint-setted titration. The titration type, titration endpoint and other data are known, and these data can be used directly to control the titration and complete the titration process. Set the number of endpoints, endpoint value, pH or potential value, and pre-control point value to perform titration. The pre-control point, between the initial value and the endpoint value of the titration, refers to the transition point from fast titration to slow titration, which will affect the accuracy of the result and the actual titration time. This mode is applicable to pH, potentiometric titration with known endpoints, such as measuring total acid in food. The third one is equivalent titration. Basically the same as the dynamic titration, the main difference is that the dynamic titration can automatically adjust the next addition volume according to the size of the first differential value of the titration process, while the equal titration is added according to the set addition volume. It is suitable for titration with low titrant consumption. Generally, when the titrant consumption is less than 1 ml, the equal titration mode can be selected, such as blank determination. The fourth one is constant titration. It is suitable for titration mode that controls the endpoint potential at a certain value. The instrument titrates to the endpoint and does not end the titration. When the system potential deviates from the endpoint potential again, the instrument will automatically add titrant to maintain the endpoint potential value of the solution. For example, enzyme reaction and pH control titration. The last one is manual titration. This method is completely controlled by the user manually. After adding, the user judges whether the potential is stable and decides whether to add again. It is suitable for research and determination of unknown and uncertain samples. This is the titration electrode that comes standard with all 3 models. I have listed the electrode combinations for different titration experiments in the table. For example, you can select 231-01 and 232-01 to complete acid-base titration. Of course, you can also choose other electrodes to meet your experimental needs. These are the parameters of different titration electrodes. The above is all the content of this sharing class. Thanks for watching. See you next time.